All right, all right. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Crown Council live stream. I am Stuart Anderson. It is June 13th. This is our weekly program where we connect with our community, talk to our doctors, team members, resource partners, and try to keep you up to date on all things happening inside the Crown Council community, what you should be doing, what you should be knowing, who you should be listening to, and all the great things that are happening inside this community. It's a 30-year-old community with so much history, so many people involved all over the country, all over Canada, and we're just so grateful to connect with everybody in the membership and kind of keep you in touch with what's happening week to week on the Crown Council live stream. So yesterday, me, Rachel, Greg, and Steve traveled to Frisco, Texas, where we are hosting the 30th annual event of the Crown Council. I wanted to just do a quick update about what happened. So right here, here's our weekly email that goes out to everybody. And as you can see, weekly email, sign up for the Crown Council's 30th annual event, the #1 building and learning experience for teams. The last couple of days we have spent in Frisco planning, preparing, brainstorming, looking at the hotel, walking the halls, looking at the ballroom, and talking about our speakers, our presenters, our breakout sessions, the swag, everything that goes into the annual event, from awards to dinners to the meals. This is where we gather once a year to have fun, hands-on learning, inspiring speakers, lots of fun recognition for Smiles for Life and team awards. So this is my encouragement to you. This is the beautiful hotel we're going to be staying in. It's the PGA Omni Resort in Frisco, Texas. So sign up today. This will be the 30th annual event, which is always fun to celebrate that round number 25, 20, 30. So now is the time to sign up. It'll sell out. The meeting will sell out. This hotel is a little smaller than normal. So I would register early and particularly get your hotel reservations done and taken care of. So everything can be done from this page on the Crown Council homepage. So if you go to crowncouncil.com, click on annual event, everything you need is right here on this website, whether it's signing up for the event or making your reservations to the hotel. So one thing that we wanted to share today at the live stream is a really fun interview we did just back in March with Kristen Angwin and her team. This is a thing that they are doing to encourage their team members to participate in the annual event. It's a fun little thing called Earn Your Seat. This is just a short little clip where we interview Kristen and hear from her what they're doing to inspire their team to come to the annual event and participate with us. So just enjoy this short little clip. Let me see how long. This is just a little recorded segment. So about 12 minutes long with Kristen and her team and Tanya, where they talk about earning their seat to the annual event. Some really fun ideas and new things that you can do to get your team to come. So, all right, enjoy this little segment with Dr. Kristen Angwin. Hey, welcome to Crown Council Live. Stuart Anderson here. If you don't know what we're doing in this part of the segment, obviously we're connecting with some of our incredible Crown Council teams to hear what they're doing, to hear how they're training, and especially to hear just some stories that are working in their own practice. And Tanya, welcome.
Thank you.
Could you please introduce where you are today?
I am so excited to introduce you to this team. So I'm here today, first of all, with my colleague, Christy Larson,
Hey, Christy.
their TOPS practice coach. And we are here in Keller, Texas at the amazing practice of Just for Grins with Dr. Kristen Angwin.
Hi, Kristen.
The other doctors are busy working out in the rest of the practice today. And then their amazing office manager, Laura Justice.
Hi, Laura.
And I just was so excited to share something that I think everybody in the Crown Council will appreciate. Probably one of the most common questions I get out in the field coaching is, how can we set it up to bring our whole team to the annual event and have them be a part of earning their seat?
What a great question.
Yes.
Yes.
And when Dr. Kristen and Dr. Jonathan Angwin and Laura were at the annual event in Austin, Texas this year, we had a little conversation about what that could look like. And I shared with Dr. Kristen this morning, she doesn't know how to do anything halfway or partway.
That was a dangerous phrase there at the beginning. I'm like,
Yeah.
whoa.
They just took it all the way across the finish line, and I'm not even going to try to explain it. I would love for Dr. Kristen and Laura to explain what
Yes.
they've done. We've got a little poster board here to
Okay.
help the team earn their seat to Frisco, Texas next year.
Let's do it.
Kristen?
Yeah, so I can't take all the credit. I did reach out and I asked that question. I said, how do your practices create a environment where people can earn their seat to the Crown Council? So I did hear from other Crown Council members. We're recreating here where I'm not creating it from scratch, but
I think there's a very famous phrase, Kristen, for that. It's called copy genius.
yeah, so we're being genius here. We're just tweaking a little bit and making it fun. So
Nice.
what we did, we created a board where everyone that's interested in going can put their name on the board, and they have five different things that they have to accomplish in order to be able to go. And we bought 10 tickets when we were at Crown Council for our office. We have a staff of almost 40, so the first 10 people to accomplish 5 items on our list will be the ones that get tickets.
Oh, that's so fun.
So it was fun. We made our list. There's 10 items on the list of things that they can do to earn their seat. Like number 1 says, help your patients have the Disneyland experience, receive 5 raving written reviews from patients you have wowed. Be a willing wit, whatever it takes, team member, have a positive attitude, and being happy to do it is vital. And it just says if you've gone to like a job fair, tooth talks, or other things outside of the office to help promote not only either patients coming in or helping us gain new team members, then that can count as one of their items. So we have a whole list, 10 different things on it, and as they accomplish those items, then we mark it off of our board.
But
we had a lot of running employees that were trying to hurry and figure out how they could fill their five holes or spots the fastest.
In
So it
fact,
was super fun.
one employee got all 5 of her reviews in 1 week.
yes, that's good though,
Right.
right?
Wow.
Yeah,
Yes.
Yep.
that's great.
Yeah. So super.
So the board is really
Can we
fun.
bring the board closer?
Yeah.
I'm just trying to see how cool it looks. It's so cool.
So Laura made it cute with some Smiles for Life and Crown Council little stickers up here, but they each of their 5 things, and we have one that's already on to number 4. So she only needs 1 more and she's earned her seat
Oh
in
my goodness.
weeks. So, but they have done a great job and they're super excited. We showed some of the videos. We showed Amy Purdy doing her dancing on Dancing with the Stars. And we did the Oprah interview
Yes.
with
Sean Aker.
Sean Aker. Yes, we showed the Sean Aker Oprah interview and they watched all of it and were super excited. So it helped motivate them.
And if that's not enough, I
Mhm.
asked Laura to share 2 other things they do. One of the things that I've always admired about Dr. Jonathan and Dr. Kristen Engwin is their commitment to creating a culture of success. And they're always working on it. Every time I come here, they're doing something else to really promote their culture. You can see on their wall, they have their custom service value card. What you can't see out of the video is a woot woot board. But when I came in this morning, they had 2 new things that I wanted Laura to talk about. So will you
Yes.
bring that closer
I'm gonna
and
bring
share?
it closer. Dr. Kristen made this. Dr. Kristen's very creative. She made the board. She made this box. It's super cute. This is one of the ideas in Sean Aker's book to create more happiness in your life. And it is doing a scan 24 hours previous of things that you're grateful for. We asked everybody to be thinking like on their way in from or to work, that 3 things that they're grateful for. 1 thing being work related, and their work related item, we wanted them to write it on a card and then put it in the box. And then at our half-day staff meetings, we'll pull out a few and read those so that we can remember what people were grateful for and share.
Nice.
Spread the happiness. And then the other thing that we did is another part of his book too was writing either like a text or an email or sending a card. So Dr. Kristen got these really cute cards and and you can write a patient a note, a teenager in braces, just encouragement, or a patient that you just really want to show an extra appreciation to, write them a note, sign your name, mail it to them that day. That is one of the things on the board. You can actually not win a square, but put on the board for that is sending out these gratitude cards to patient. Again, just spreading happiness, and patients have responded really well to these cards. They really appreciate
So
them.
good.
Yep. Super fun.
They're
Love
so
it.
amazing.
You guys are so awesome. The service values card, can we talk more about it up there?
Yes,
Sure.
we
So
sure can.
for practices, I have no idea what this is. Can you
Yeah.
explain what it is and how it was created?
Absolutely.
Thanks.
So one of the things we do with all of the clients we work with is really get into the nitty gritty or what is their service value promise that they make to their patients. And so on that service value card, they have a promise, which there says every person, every time. They have a motto, which is make each patient's dental experience the best it can be. And then they have their personal philosophy, which is, this is a purpose statement. If you've ever heard Steve Anderson talk, you've heard him talk about purpose. So theirs is to serve our patients' dental health needs in comfortable, friendly atmosphere. Being kind and caring is essential. And then they have what's called their simple steps of service. So
Okay.
their simple steps of service are courtesy and friendliness, trust, comfort, and quality. And then lastly, we attach the values to the actual actions. So what are the actionable things that they can do that example their actual steps of service? So you see under courtesy, it's simple things. Know and use the patient's name, smile, say please and thank you, action your tone of voice. And so each one has that. And so this is a blown up version that's on the wall. And then each team member actually has a card that they can
Nice.
carry on their person. And the idea is that we become, more like what we focus on, the law of focus. So this is really just a physical expression of who the people in this practice are, because organizations aren't buildings, they're people.
Very cool.
Did
And
I
did you guys create it as a team? Did everybody create it together?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's one of the, things that we love to do as coaches when we're working with an organization is to really help them create that. And then we actually get it printed for them and send them their cards so that manifests itself. And it's kind of weaved throughout everything that we're training and coaching on. The creating the culture of success is foundational to the practice success financially. So we always start with service, values, and culture.
Man, you guys are like A+, like
They
A++.
are. They are. Best of the best.
Best of the best. Very good. And what are you guys working on today, Tanya? What other things are you guys training and coaching?
Oh, wow. So that's such a great question. So this is a fairly large practice. How many operatories are out there? They've lost count.
75.
Not yet.
24-ish.
24. So Christy and I are working around the practice today doing what we call hands-on coaching. So just working side by side with the team,
Okay.
helping them, supporting them, giving feedback. So Christy's actually been working out front with their treatment coordinator team. They have a team of about, I think, 5 out there today, and we're working on that. And then Laura and I were working this morning just on some specific feedback systems for team members. And then Dr. Kristen's been doing dentistry.
What a surprise.
Yeah. So that's what we've got so far. Tomorrow this is actually, you can't see this whole room, but this is they have a really nice, huge training room. So tomorrow we're really going to be diving into a fan favorite of the new patient relationship form.
Okay.
And how we link that information with a relationship link from each team member to team member to team member.
Nice. Very good. Kristen, this question specifically for you. Right now, we have a couple hundred brand new offices doing Smiles for Life for their first time. What advice would you give to any practice, new or even old, that is doing Smiles for Life whitening?
Trust the process. When we first started, my husband had very high goals with Smiles for Life. and I thought he was crazy. But when you get your team involved and you get everyone excited about it, and I mean, when you're first starting out, you're looking at overhead and you're looking at numbers and you're like, can I really do this? But you can. And when the team's involved in it, it all works out. So trust it, know that it's going to work out in the end. And when you're doing good, it all works out. So, when he had that high goal, and I thought, oh my goodness, how are we going to do this? We're a brand new practice, but he exceeded that goal that first year, and I was shocked. But ever since then, I haven't questioned his goal.
Nice. Okay, very good. Thank you. Very
Yeah.
good. Tanya, what else? What are we missing? Is that what else can we do?
I could talk about this amazing practice all day.
Okay, share
but-
one more thing. Can you share one more thing?
Well, yes, I can. I don't remember how long I've known the Ingwins now, but this is Christy's first time here. And one of the things that I was sharing with Christy that I think would be pertinent for anybody in a practice to know is that the work that the Ingwins and Laura, their office manager, have put in over the years on leadership has paid huge dividends. And one of the things that they've done from day one is recognize, and I've said this already, but recognize the importance of culture and leadership. And when those two things are in place, everything else kind of tends to take care of itself. And they've put an extraordinary amount of time and attention, resources and effort in really developing their personal leadership skills, in developing their team's leadership skills. And so it's no surprise to me that they have just been wildly successful. They're a pillar in their community. And I think the biggest attribute I could say about them isn't about their dentistry. They're just great people. And they also happen to do amazing dentistry. And I think that's probably what's most important to them as well.
I love it. You guys, thanks for sharing. This is going to be the best segment of the year. I'm serious. This is the best. Okay, we'll see you next week. We're going to do more stuff next week.
Awesome.
Okay. Thank you, Tanya. Thank you, everybody. Grateful.
Thanks,
for you.
Stuart.
Thank you.
All right.
Okay.
Thanks for having us.
All right. Have a great day.
Enjoy the snow. Are you guys going to Utah?
Colorado.
Okay. Well, he just said they got like a foot of fresh powder last night.
I think Colorado did too. I hope
Make it stop, Kristen. Make it stop.
it's preparing the powder for us.
Yeah, it'll be here.
Yeah. I'm gonna get in the pool that day.
Nice.
Right. All right. Have a great day. Thank you.
Hey guys, thanks.
Bye.
All right, very good. I hope everyone is encouraged to join us at the annual event and help your team earn your seat to be there with us. Really fun. I have 2 doctors' interviews that we want to share. These are recorded interviews with these doctors that we're sharing in an upcoming new Mentor of the Month podcast. It's a series that we're creating for younger doctors. One is with Dr. David Hornbrook, and one is with Dr. Jen Durst. So I'm going to play these interviews back to back for the rest of the show. And this is an opportunity for you to hear about how they started their practices, how they got into dentistry, the mentors that they use, advice to doctors, things that they do to be successful personally and professionally. And this is all part of a new series we're creating where we're interviewing some of our own doctors and sharing it in a podcast series. So enjoy these interviews with Dr. David Hornbrook, Dr. Jen Durst, and I'll see you at the end. All right, everybody, welcome to our mentorship podcast series. I'm Stuart Anderson, joined by Dr. David Hornbrook. David, how are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks. Awesome.
Good. Great to be with you. This is part of our mentorship series where we are interviewing. Well, I just told David, I'm just interviewing the people I want to interview, the best doctors in the Crown Council, to share their stories about how they got their start, things that they would do different, things they would do again if they were in your position, and just all things advice when you're starting your practice and journey in dentistry. So David and I have a really fun, probably one of my most favorite relationships in Crown Council at work is with David. We get to spend a lot of great time together running the Young Dentist program, where David devotes so much time to already doing this. You're already spending so much time guiding and providing an example and a mentorship to young dentists. So I am just grateful for what you've done for years for the Crown Council generations coming up through the Young Dentist program. So anyway, it's great to be with you.
Yeah, it's great to be with you. And you've heard this before. I do it selfishly.
Mhm.
I always say it's all about me. It's not about the young dentist. I do it, I think, selfishly because I do it because I absolutely love it. I mean, it's just, it's, they say it rocks my boat and it's my happy place to spend time with these young dentists and try to
Nice.
share some things, some mistakes and successes and things that hopefully they can move forward as they move in a path they want to be.
Good.
Good.
Hey, well, if you're listening to this, we might as well talk about it now. If you're listening to this and don't know what the Crown Council Young Dentist Program is, for the last, man, David, what, 17, 18 years, we have hosted or run a program for young up and coming leaders in dentistry who want to jumpstart their career and find a way to not only network but learn from the very best when it comes to exiting dental school. And David is the instructor, the mentor, the leader of that program. David, you want to talk for just a minute what we do in the Young Dentist Program?
Yeah, absolutely. And actually, it dates back. Chris Hammond was our first young dentist, and that was 1998. So now really aging ourselves, right? It's not 16, 17, that's 26, right?
Nice.
But it's gone by so fast. It's been incredible. So, this was basically a brainchild of all of us, Crown Council, myself, to honor those young dentists that are trying to make an impact in their communities, in their practice, and in themselves. And originally it was, as a group, the Crown Council voted for the Young Dentist of the Year. We brought him in. He got a plaque, he or she got a plaque, and then they spent 6 days with me. And then we moved it where they got to attend my course for free. And then I thought, I talked to Stuart and Greg and said, yeah, one has to win. I mean, someone's got to get the gold medal, right? But there's like 4 or 5 of these that are on that list that didn't make it, but they could have been the Young Dentist of the Year, and they get literally nothing. So I thought, let's include them, right? Someone gets a plaque, but they're included. And so what I would do is I'd have them down in my office. We would prep a case, and they'd come back again, and we'd seat the case. And at first there was 4, and then 5, and then 6, and then 7, and I don't have a huge office, and my operatories are not huge. So it was like, wait a minute, once we hit 7 or 8, it was like, we can't do it in my office anymore. So as we started to explore this and thought, why can't we do it in a dental school with a kind of a sim lab format where people can look over my shoulder or look at a screen? And then again, brainstorming with Stuart and Greg, it was like, well, why do we need now to limit it to 8? If we have the opportunity where in a sim lab setting with a camera and screens and over the shoulder, I mean, we could have 50 people if we wanted to. So that's what we do now. And this is, again, something we've been doing for about the last 15 or 16 years. And you're correct in that. In opening this Young Dentist Program to young dentists, and that's 5 years or less out of school, young dentists to learn from my mentorship. And again, hopefully we'll learn from my mistake and my successes and get motivated by seeing my passion for dentistry, even 35 years later. And it starts really in January for those that are listening and have not been to the annual meeting. And for those that have, you're already nodding your head. It's an extraordinary event. It's a non-dental event, except for the 6 hours you spend with me. I mean, that's literally it. We wake up early. I make them wake up at 6. And what the dentists do is they send cases ahead of time to me, cases that they think would be an awesome patient for this course. They would like to see me prep and then seat this case. And recently I've been working with Chase Larson as well, which is a young dentist that went through the program, and I've kind of brought him to basically work with these cases with me because he's just an awesome person, awesome dentist. So we spend 6 hours at the annual meeting early in the morning and through the lunch going over these cases, and the dentists each present their case with the goal that as a group, and the group votes, I do not vote. They vote which patient they would like to see be treated. And so the dentist explains their case. We go over it. Some of them are awesome cases for the course. Others are not really ideal for the course because it's a 2-weekend course. Some of these cases are full mouth rehab, or they're missing teeth, they need implants, but we still treatment plan everything because I think it's a really good learning opportunity for everyone involved. And then at the end of that weekend, they vote, we pick a patient, and then the summertime, we spend 2 full weekends together where Jason and I prep 8 to 10 units And then a month later, we seat 8 to 10 units. So it's didactic as well. I talk about prep design, smile design, materials, cementation, lab communication, anterior implant aesthetics, and then you get to see the case being seated. And it's been really fun. And the cool thing for me, and Stuart, I know you can say the same thing. I look back at these, they used to be young dentists, now they're old dentists, right?
Right.
People like Chris and Chase and Allison, who you mentioned earlier, where I see what amazing things they're doing in their practices, because again, this is the best and the brightest. They now may have multiple practices, but how they've taken, their excitement, their knowledge to the next level and what they've become. So
Yeah.
it's been really fun, really rewarding. I think it's to me, it's a no-brainer. If you're a dentist out of school 5 years or less, part of the Crown Council, this is a no-brainer.
Mhm.
You should absolutely go through this program. It's free. It's completely free. And it's a great way to have a mastermind groups with other young dentists, and the camaraderie is amazing. And we just have so much fun.
Well, and I love how you, whenever we conclude, so whenever we wrap up our summer session, you always say that dentistry's it's in good hands. Sometimes working in this profession the way that I do and the way that you do, seeing the new young doctors coming out of dental school who are eager to make the best for not only themselves but their patients is very rewarding, and it's always a reminder of the incredible doctors who want to be the best, and that's who I would say is drawn to the program. Those who are looking to jumpstart what they're doing and make the very best of their profession. So anyone listening, you're invited to join. We would love to have you as part of the Young Dentist program. I'm not going to say the dates because I don't want to date our podcast. Maybe this will live on for years. So anyway.
Sometime in the summertime there.
Yeah.
Right?
David, I know I have heard your story of where you work and what you do a couple times, but I've never heard your influence of how you started dentistry, where and why you chose this profession. Could you tell that story?
Yeah, you might have heard it, and maybe this will kind of reminisce your memory a little bit. So, and it's kind of ironic too, and I'll share that. So my dad was an OBGYN, and we had a nice home. We weren't lavish lifestyles. We had a nice home, and I had nice Christmas presents. I had a bike, and it seemed like a good environment to grow up in. But I never saw my dad because he was an OBGYN in the day that there was no false labor and you made house calls. So, he didn't go to my football games or my baseball games or my water polo games or my swim meets. And I mean, that was a bummer for me. Right. And so I kind of looked around, and there was a house down the street that kind of had it had a pool and had a reasonably nice house, and they had a reasonably nice car. But the dad was always there, and he was a dentist. And I thought, man, I want to be a doctor, but I want to be involved with my children's life whenever I had them. And so that's actually how I got involved in dentistry. And the ironic part of that is, and we'll probably talk more about this a little bit later, as I got into aesthetic dentistry, I started lecturing a lot because in the late 80s, early 90s, and mid 90s, there weren't many educators on aesthetic dentistry. Now there's a million of them. So my demand was really high. So I was gone all the time. So here I chose a profession based on the fact that I would be home. And I was gone much more than my dad ever was. Ever.
Wow.
But in dental school, it's been an incredible profession for me. But when I was in dental school, and you've probably heard this story as well, I was really, really bored, because I envisioned dentistry to be, I get to be a doctor, I get to help people, I get to make a good living, and I get to be creative and artistic, because I consider myself artistic. And not autistic, artistic. I have that's otherwise. And then I realized that in dental school, it wasn't creative and artistic at all. They put a tooth in the middle of the room. They said, match it. And if you deviated, I say, if you decided that you wanted to put 2 cusps of Carabelli on a maxillary first molar instead of 1, that was cool and creative. You flunked. And so it was about being technical and precise and being a technician without being creative. And I did not like dental school very much for that primary reason. But I'd already made the commitment time-wise and monetary-wise that I got out, and I was a dentist, right? And fortunately, the aesthetic revolution came around in the early 90s, so I could be part of that. And it kind of changed overnight for me. I was doing amalgams and I was doing endo and I was doing dentures and I was doing pedo. I was taking out thirds. I didn't really like it. Patients at the end of the visit didn't look in the mirror and say, "Oh my God, you changed my life. That's incredible." I mean, they would make the comments that we've all heard. "I hate coming to the dentist, no offense," they would leave. And it wasn't positive or rewarding for me. And then as I started to even a class 2 composite on a maxillary premolar, where they showed that amalgam and now they don't show it anymore. And they would look in the mirror and say, "Oh my God, doc, that is awesome. Thank you so much. Now I can smile and feel good about it." As I left, I thought, all I did was I did the same thing I would have with amalgam. It just happens to be tooth colored.
Mm.
Now my patient was thanking me for that treatment or asking
Mm.
for more treatment. They said, "When can we do this?" And it's like, well, you don't really need to do those, but we can. And then we saw more want in instead of just need dentistry. And then as technology changed, materials changed in the early 90s, we were doing more veneers, more aesthetic dentistry, and I eliminated what I call my undesirables. And I say my undesirables is one is pedo. I love
Mhm.
kids, but I do not like to do dentistry on kids.
Mhm.
I always try to psych myself up. Okay, I'm gonna have fun. I'm gonna have fun. I'm gonna have fun. Mr. Squirty, Mr. Sucky. You know,
Uh-huh.
and then at the end of the visit, they want 2 toys. I want 2 drinks. It's like, wait a minute, that didn't work for me. So as I could fill my schedule with things that I wanted to do, then I could eliminate the things that kept me from truly enjoying what I did. Because all your listeners, whether they're still in school or right out of school, have been in practice 10 years, they've had patients or procedures they look at on the morning huddle and they say, that's going to kind of ruin my day, or, it's going
Mhm.
to compromise my enjoyment of the day. And pedo was one of them for me. Endo was another. Removable was another one. So I could start to replace those undesirables with things I liked. And that could be a direct composite. And I know people are saying, "I hate direct composites." But at the same time, it's replacing an amalgam which compromises aesthetics in a lot of areas. And then when I could do all ceramic crowns instead of PFMs in the anterior, and I could do veneers conservatively. And as the bonding materials, I could do direct composite bonding. Again, the patient looked in the mirror and said, "Thank you so much for what you did. I can look in the mirror and feel good about myself." And they paid you for that, or they paid me for that. And I thought, this is an incredible profession if we want it to be.
Mm.
And so what I did, I just kept, I don't like to say market, but creating value with my patients of things that we can do to make them feel better about themselves, look better, be more conservative, be healthier. And then pretty soon I was being able to eliminate all my undesirables and do the things that I want to do.
I love that. David, could you talk a little bit about the creation of the practice that you just expound on that? So the practice you have now, could you talk about maybe the major from where you first started to the steps that got you to where you are now, and what your practice looks like now?
Yeah, so I bought a practice while I was still in dental school. And, your listeners have to realize I did not have $500,000 in student loans. I went to UCLA, which was a state school. At that time, state schools were really affordable. I think I paid maybe $2,000 a year. So I didn't have this huge debt, and I get it. So I bought a practice while I was still in dental school. A couple weeks before I graduated is when I closed on it, but it was a funky little practice. It was 800 square feet. The guy was 78 years old. Should have retired 20 years ago, but he at least I could pay the rent with his few patients. He did gold and amalgams and dentures. I say his perio department was 2 dull scalers and a lot of really good jokes. I mean that was kind of his perio department.
That's the name of our podcast. Two doors.
Yeah, dull scalers and a bunch of
Oh
really
my
bad
gosh.
jokes.
Okay, good.
So I bought this practice in the town I grew up in. At that time, I thought I was just going to be a general dentist. I mean, that's what I learned in dental school, like all your listeners. And it was funky. It was old, the shag carpet and the dark cabinets. And I used to call my practice Jekyll and Hyde.
Mm-hmm.
It was Jekyll during the day when I had patients there, and then Hyde at night, because what we do is literally throw down the drop cloth, sand down, and paint 2 or 3 cabinets to get things brighter, and then we have to clean everything up at 2
Yeah.
a.m. to
Wow.
get them back to paint. I did this 7 days a week,
Right.
for a year, just trying to get this office look like, it was in this last century, but certainly the century that we are in. So, what I did is try to create an environment that produce results based on what I do for a living. And this is what I tell my patients: creating value in your practice for what you do for a living. I think that if you want to be an aesthetic focused practice, or even higher end practice, more want dentistry than need dentistry, your environment needs to tell your patients that's what you do. I should be able to go into any office that focuses on aesthetic or cosmetic dentistry and kind of know what you do for a living. And I don't mean you have a bunch of before and afters. It may just be portraits of people. I walk
Right.
in and think, this is something about beauty or making people feel better or more attractive. I wonder what that is. And maybe there are some before and after books. The staff is dressed nice. The office environment is modern and up to date. And that's what we slowly started to do. We replace the ugly paintings on the wall of flowers and landscapes with headshots that we had professionally done on our patients.
Right.
And instead of National Geographic and Sports Illustrated and Highlights magazines, we had before and after books. So the patients were kind of forced to look at things that we wanted them to look at to create value. And that gave us the opportunity where now patients were asking about it. They say, I noticed your books out there. As I was looking for the swimsuit edition of Sports Illustrated and it wasn't there. And I saw this before and after like this, and this looks like me. And I like what it looks like afterwards. Right. And it was like, yeah, that's what we do. It will get you out of pain. And at the same time, we have the opportunity to change your life and change your self-image. So that evolved and evolved. And like I talked earlier, pretty soon, your schedule, you look at the schedule and realize your morning is all the things that you really want to do. In the afternoon, you may have some things you don't want to do, but now you can eliminate those because they're going to be filled with the things you created value for.
Right.
And not all your listeners are saying, I want to be a cosmetic dentist, but it could be implants, right? If you create an environment where your patients are saying, wow, I'm seeing this, no longer have dentures or partials, or I can have a single tooth replaced instead of grinding down adjacent teeth. I can have a bridge replaced with an implant. I mean, I should be able to walk in the practice and say, you're doing something that's going to lead me in that direction to ask questions. So I was in that funky practice. It was, in fact, when I first bought it, it had all stand-up chairs. And some of your listeners are too young, probably.
I don't even know what that means.
Yeah, because they used to do stand-up dentistry. And instead of air-driven handpieces, they were actually blade-driven. Right. And so I first went in, and I had never worked in those type of chairs. They were Ritters. They were bright pink. You could probably Google museum dental chairs now. That was my office, right? I mean, it was scary. And so I could afford one chair. So I could do hygiene out of the one with the belt driven and the cuspidor. And I bought literally one operatory to do dentistry in. And then when I could afford it, I did the other two because there's only 3 operatories. It was small. And then when I had the opportunity, it's been 30 years now, I built an office in a high rise, very modern and very up to date, to try to, again, create value for my patients that, we're more than just doing fillings and extracting teeth.
And now you're in San Diego.
I'm in San Diego.
And the practice that you run, which I've heard many times from you, the greatest city in the world, which is what I always remember.
It is America's finest city. I can say that because that's our city slogan.
That's so good. And the neat thing is I think you have an interesting perspective because of the people that you get to teach, not only in the Young Dentist program, but all across the country. You have your eye on where dentistry is moving and what is working and where I guess you could be or should be when it comes to dentistry. If you were a young doctor right now, maybe in dental school, just finishing dental school, could you talk about the path that you would be looking at? What would you be like? Okay, for the first 10 years, this is what I'm gonna. This is how it's gonna run. This is what I'm gonna do. Could you talk about that?
Yeah, and absolutely. and I know some of your listeners are saying, well, I owe $500,000. You know, I
Right.
can't buy a practice and live the way I want to live, right? Or even practice the way I want to practice. And I have to work for maybe a DMSO or someone I'd rather not work. And I totally get that. So what I tell I tell you, the people that I like to mentor and the people that I enjoy spending time with, and young dentists from Crown Council is number one for me, is hurry up and find what you want to be and then slow down.
Hmm.
And I say that because I want you to hurry up and say, what do you want out of this profession? Do you want to offer your patients very high quality, uncompromising, ethical and moral dentistry? If that's your goal, then you are on a path. You may not be able to live that entire path at this moment, though, but you are in a direction that will now guide you to people and things that you're going to do in practices that'll keep you on that path. And the reason I say then slow down is because I see these young, motivated, aggressive dentists, and they say, I want to be a cosmetic dentist. I want to be just like you, only do veneers, veneers, veneers. And they're working for a DMSO where they're doing $100 crowns. Right. And 2 surface composites for $40. And if they didn't slow down at that point, they're going to fail. One is they're going to get disillusioned in their profession, and they're going to realize that dentistry is not that much fun because I don't really get to do the things I want to do. So get on a path, slow down, and then try to visualize your path. And I recommend, people say, where will you be in 5 years? I would say, where do you want to be in 1 year? And say, okay, so can I do this? What I'm doing now, working for this DMSO, not crazy about it yet, but still being educated, maybe because I'm on this path. I may be able to not do it, but I'm getting educated to stay in that lane. Am I okay doing this for 1 year? If yes, okay, then that year's up. Where am I going to be next year? Then you can move on to the 5-year plan. And the 5-year plan may be, where would I like to have my aesthetic or implant-based or endo-op, I mean, whatever it is you like to do, right? So find the path and slow down. And as before I actually got on the call with you, I was thinking about what motivated me to love what I do. Again, I've been in practice, it's hard to believe. I graduated in 86, so that's 38 years. I mean, that's crazy. Is I found mentors, and this is what I'd recommend to all the listeners. Find mentors, and they could be dental school instructors, and I'm going to go back to that in a moment, who love what they do. Because even if you find someone in school that's an amazing dentist, but is a full-time faculty and kind of burned out, that's not going to drive you in the right direction. I mean, clinical skills, most of the times you can learn those or be taught those to some degree, but it's really catching that passion and that motivation. And so for me, I had 3 instructors. They were all part-time instructors. What I found is even some of the people that I thought were amazing that was full-time, they were full-time because they did not like to practice clinical dentistry in an environment where they had a team and they had to do marketing. And, they didn't like that. That's why they were full-time faculty. And I thought, that's not going to be my mentor. It may be for a certain procedure because they're really good at it, but those aren't going to be my mentors to help me grow, because I did not want to teach full-time in a dental school, right? And so, and I would pick their brains. If I was in dental school, I would pick the brains. I had 3 of them, Ken Hansen, Bruce Crispin, Ted Berg, who it was like, what do you like to do for fun? What do you do on the weekends? Who mentored you? But when you look at dental journals, what do you look at? What motivates you to want to be educated in this arena, whatever it is? Because one of them was a prosthodontist and amazing at partials, which obviously I did not get into. But I realized their state of mind is they stayed passionate. And if dental school instructors or the dental school environment, you think back, no, I can't think of anybody, then align yourself with those dentists in your life. And this is where Crown Council is so awesome, that love what they do. And then follow that.
All right, I'm going to stop David there. The interview goes on for about another 30 minutes. And I guess that's a little tease for you to go and watch the rest when it's released and engage with the Crown Council mentorship series to hear more from David. So I'm gonna stop him there. We're gonna move to the Jen Durst interview, and we probably won't hear all of it, but it'll be the same. You'll get a taste of the information that she shares and some of the great advice that she has. and then we'll cut it short, and you can go listen to the rest on the Crown Council Mentorship Series podcast. All right. All right, everybody. Welcome to the Mentor of the Month podcast. I'm Stuart Anderson, joined by Dr. Jennifer Durst. Hi, Jen. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
So grateful to be together. We just found out that Jen's got a crazy whirlwind of travel in the next week. I can't believe how you're flying to Germany this weekend,
Yeah.
and are you flying home like the Sunday, 2 days later?
No, I'll be there a couple of days and then I'll come back and then I'll go to Dallas for a course and then I'll come home and then 2 days later, then I'm getting a neck fusion. So it's going to be glorious next 2
Well,
weeks.
I'm so thankful that you would spend this time. This is part of our mentorship series where Jen is going to talk about her career, her journey through dentistry, and hopefully we'll have fun talking about the things that have gone well and maybe stuff that she would do different, advice that she'd give to young new docs. So thank you for being
Yeah.
with us today. Very good.
Happy
so
to
you-
do it.
Yeah, happy to do it. That was very good. Great. You are practicing out of Colorado. And I was doing a little research before we got on. You guys have donated over $230,000 to Smiles for Life, starting back in 2010.
Oh, we gotta
That
do
is
better.
That's a lot. That's a lot of. That is awesome. You guys always come to the annual event, and then you've been on many humanitarian trips. You guys are all-star Crown Council members. So thank you. So grateful for you. Can you talk a little bit about your practice? Just kind of introduce where you work and what you do.
Yeah. Well, our practice is called Aspire Dental with an E.
Okay.
And in 2010, I joined my business partner, Brett Levin, after relocating from Scottsdale. And we built a practice that, he had the typical mom and pop practice that was very, very relationship focused. That's why I moved from Arizona to Colorado to join him. And plus Colorado was really where my heart was. I needed all the seasons. So we practiced together for, until my back went out. So about 10 years. And in that journey, when I joined him, he had all of these patients that they knew his dad and then they knew him. And it was so Norman Rockwell and like a family. And, I got to join that family. And then we took that practice and built it from being this little tiny practice to 12 treatment rooms, fee for service, bustling practice. And then we decided to, our choice was to either expand or not take more new patients or figure out a way to not do that. And because we had felt that we had culturally wanted to include more people in what we were doing, we decided to form a group. So we are technically considered a DSO.
Okay.
We function a little bit differently than some of the, really, really big ones, but we're a group and now we have 30 locations and we are in Texas, Oklahoma, Colorado, Wyoming, and Southern California. And Southern California started because Jeff Gray was my original mentor at the Coist Center. And so at a Crown Council meeting one year, we're like, hey, we should do this together. So he's kind of one of our OG.
Okay.
Too.
Okay, we got to pause. We're going to dig into all that.
Yeah, I know. There's a lot.
No, that's very good.
We could keep going.
When you look back on your career in dentistry, was there a moment or mentors where you were like, this is it? I'm going to join because I love my grandpa was a dentist or a neighbor, or how did you get into dentistry? The biggest influences that led you here?
That's a great question. So dentistry, I don't have any family members that are dentists. My dad was a police officer and my mom worked the gate for, a Baby United hub in a town an hour away. I'm from rural Wisconsin.
Okay.
And my parents kind of said, go to college or join the military. So that I'm gonna go to college and I'm gonna be an artist. Went different directions. But I had also learned to play tennis against the garage because I really thought Andre Agassi was cool back in the day.
He is cool.
And
Yeah.
still is.
Yeah.
But I ended up walking onto the tennis team And my doubles partner was pre-med and she was so organized and I am not. Like, so I thought I am going to just do what Laura does. I'm gonna take her same classes. Like, that way we can make sure we play tennis.
This
Some
is awesome.
activities. Yeah.
Okay.
So, I ended up being pre-med. And then I saw a child be born at 3 a.m. and I thought, this is not gonna work with my sleep schedule. This is not gonna work. I cannot. We did this preceptorship in the hospital. I was like, I don't wanna do colonoscopies. I don't wanna deliver babies. It's magical. I ended up actually helping deliver a baby once. That's a whole nother story. But, that wasn't, I thought this isn't gonna be the right balance for me. So I came home, had a cleaning with my dentist, who had been my dentist since as long as I can remember. And it is small town. On his back of his shelf was all the produce that people brought, like chickens and eggs and baked goods. And I thought, this kid came in and needed a tooth pulled and came in crying and left smiling and waving. And I didn't even know that he was really a doctor. I just called him Mr. Benson. So he was really my inspiration. I thought, oh my gosh, this is what I want to do. I want relationships with the people. I want to be a part of their life. I want to see them grow the way, like he's been a part of mine, knowing about my basketball games and tennis matches and all of those things. And that was really what made me apply to dental school instead. I pulled out of taking the MCAT, applied with the DAT, and the rest is history.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I love that story. Very good. And when you exited dental school, can you talk about that? That a lot of the people we're going to share this podcast with are in that position, trying to decide maybe what fits next, or what did you know, or did you kind of have to? Can you talk about that? What happened next?
Yes,
Okay.
I joined a DSO,
Okay.
and it wasn't the right fit for me. And so I said, I'm never going to join a DSO. I don't believe in those. And this was, 20 years ago. Things have changed. But remember that whole channeling your energy, and we don't use the word we don't use no or negative or don't. Well, your brain doesn't process that. I think my brain didn't process that because I ended up starting a DSO. But that particular DSO wasn't for me because it really felt, it just didn't feel right. It didn't feel like I was given the opportunity or being allowed to form the relationships with the patients. So then I left that and went right into another fee-for-service private practice, and I scored a really awesome job for being less than a year out of school when I joined Dr. Douglas, and he is who got me involved in the Crown Council, and I started doing the humanitarian trips and Smiles for Life, and learning about communication, because he's a master at it. And all of the things that the Crown Council provided at the time too. So I think, in graduating dental school, you don't know where your home is going to be. And it's more about the match with the people than it is. You can't say like fee for service practice versus DSO versus, it's really about like the culture that you want to find and join. I think that was your question, right? Like, what was the lesson learned in that graduation of that path? It's finding the right culture.
That's awesome. And when you look back, or even the lay of the landscape now, is that the advice that you would give to students? Is when you're exiting school, here's some non-negotiables that you should think about in finding the next step. What advice would you give?
I would tell you to look for a practice home where there's a balance of, so like you're new out of school, like you want to find a balance of mentorship and the opportunity to be allowed to be you, like to find that hybridization, but also find the team that can support you. Because I will tell you, one of my mentors in dental school is a guy named Kim Cooch. He's, does dental products, and he told me dental school is a license to learn. Everything you're learning in dental school, like, forget about it. It's just your license to learn. There's so much more after that. And and I think it's true, but you want to find a place where you're going to get to learn and grow.
Hmm.
So, and it looks different for different people. Some people don't like being coached. They want to like do it independently on their own, fail fast, but find what works for you and what that matchup is like, because if you want mentorship and you want to be coached, you also want to find a practice like that where you can find somebody, because I had that. I really valued it. I was lucky. I was a year out of school, less than that. And Paul said, here's 2 smile designs. You're going to do them full mouth rehab. Here's my assistant. She's going to write up the steps. Go call me for prep checks. I mean, that was a little bit fly, baby bird. But if you're looking for that, like, what are you looking for? Are you looking for a place where you can just do lots of rapid fire dentistry? You know, our relationships are important to you. Like, find your cultural match.
Very good. That's great advice. And when you look at the DSO that you were part of and then what you've built now, can you talk a little bit about those non-negotiables? So you've created the practices now. I guess it would be called, Steve and I call it like the philosophy of care. What has transpired over your career that matters most when it comes to your patients?
Just do the right thing, and the rest comes together. But in doing the right thing, what I have learned, and I've also learned this through my own medical journey, is that a lot of times when you come out of school, you think the right thing is what is the right thing for you as the dentist. What would you want as a dentist? And we always talk about, you know, the golden rule is do unto others as you would want done. But the platinum rule is do unto others as they would want done. And I really think, gosh, I've lost myself in what I was talking about, but I think it's so incredibly important that you create an opportunity for your patients to participate in your care, and you work with an organization that allows that and fosters it, and supports you in it, gives you the tools to do it.
Nice. I love that. And when you look at the 30 practices that are part of the Aspire group now, can you talk for a minute about that, like the leadership and how you guys all have the same philosophy of care, or do you? I mean, could you talk about that for a minute? I mean, because that's a huge deal. I know that when our young docs move on to DSOs, it's kind of, I'm not saying it's bad or good. There's just so many to choose from. And how is it that a DSO like yours is successful, is a great place to work? It is, that's it. That's my question.
Okay. Well, I guess I'm going to answer that question with a question.
Okay.
It's actually a joke, and maybe you've heard it. What do 2 out of 3 dentists agree on? The third one's wrong. I got that from one of our doctors, Kirk Harvey. I didn't make it up, but he gave that to me. And really, you have to provide a space for, like, our clinical philosophy is based on the Kois Center. Like, that's how Brett and I met. That's how Jeff Gray and I met. And that's how a lot of our you know, original founder owner doctors came together, is through the Kois Center.
Okay.
And that's our foundation of our clinical philosophy. But as John Kois will say, I come here and I give you a system, but I know out there sometimes you don't always even follow that system. So I know that every doctor is going to do things a little differently. Like, and we know that, like, you're going to do things what works best for you. When I mentor a young doctor, you know, my philosophy is, you know, what Paul gave to me about doing full mouth rehabs and cosmetics. And I started at a young age, and I've done so many of them that I got really lucky in that experience. And now I want to give that to others, like the younger doctors that come in and work for us. I'm going to mentor you through the entire case. I'm going to do it through some of the Kois philosophies. And once we get you through that, you might turn something into something that works better for you. Like, if I teach you, like, hey, I like to do, you know, finish my incisal edges standing up face to face with the patient with my flexi disc, but for you, it works that you want to, you know, I don't know, flip them upside down and do it that way. And you know, I'm struggling to come up with an example of that at the moment, but I want you to take the foundation that I give you
Mhm.
and then also just make it yours. And if what I give you works well, and hopefully it does and saves you time and energy. But if you are like, no, I like to place the crown on the implant and then do the clear correct, or do the clear correct and then do my, like, I don't care, just make sure your contacts are good ultimately, and the bite's good, right? Like at the end of the day, the chicken and the egg, they both are delicious.
They
Done
are.
right.
Good point, good point. Very good. That's fun. All right. Thanks everybody for joining us for the Crown Council live stream today, June 13th. Grateful to have you and thankful that we can be a part of this great live stream and community together. And we'll see you next week.